The Mountain Between Us is a film that stars Idris Elba and Kate Winslet, two extremely talented actors. The story is that there are two people, played by Idris Elba and Kate Winslet, and they're both on a trip of sorts to go to Denver for different reasons. Something happens, they're not able to board their plane, and so one of them gets the bright idea like, hey, how about we just take a charter plane and we can get to Denver faster that way. Keep in mind, these are two complete strangers who don't know each other. They just met at the airport, so they get in a charter plane and they try to fly to Denver. Something bad happens to the plane, and the plane crash lands right in the middle of nowhere in the mountains. Now it's kind of like, oh, well, these two strangers have to rely on each other to survive out there in the cold, in the wilderness, and that's what it is. I will say this, Idris Elba and Kate Winslet are definitely trying here. They're both trying to give really good performances. Granted, they're not given the greatest material to work with in the world in terms of script and dialogue, but hey, the effort is at least there. It's kind of funny, I can't tell if they're great actors, it's just that the material and script is so shit that it makes them look worse than what they are. Or I can't tell if they're actually bringing their C games to this movie, and it's only because of their reputation as great actors that I'm giving them more credit than they actually deserve. I don't know. Point is, I could tell that there was a good performance somewhere in this mess of a movie. So I'll say the movie is decently shot. It has decent cinematography. There are some really good shots of the mountainside and the landscape. They're kind of shot in a really boring, bland way, but hey, at least it looks good. The tonal inconsistency of this movie threw me off. It was just very choppy in its execution. Half the time the movie wanted to be a survivor movie, and then the other half of the time the movie actually wanted to be a romance, and that's really what the biggest thing in this story is that it's a survivor movie that kind of morphs and changes and turns into a romance. It's kind of like they switch back and forth between the two concepts, and they can't really execute it well on either front. Survival parts of the movie don't really make sense because you don't really buy that these people are in that much danger. They don't really sell you on the gravity of the situation. They don't really sell you that this is a really dangerous and intense time in their lives. Part of that is due to the inconsistency of their journey in terms of the unrealistic scenarios that these people find themselves in. It's a movie. I get it. I get that it's a movie and that not everything in a movie is going to be realistic. I'm not one of those everything has to be exactly like real life type of people. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is that I'm okay with a little bit of unrealistic shit happening in a movie, but if it keeps adding up to the point where the whole plot feels convenient, then that kind of takes me out of the movie a little bit. I'm kind of like, okay, we're not going to ground this in any kind of reality. There are weird time lapses too. I mean, you can't really tell how much time has actually passed when they start journeying through the mountains and through the wilderness. The only time you can tell what time it is when one character says, hey, it's been 3 days. And then later, one of the characters is like, hey, we've been going around like this for 3 weeks. I'm kind of like, really? It only feels like 5 or 6 days, but okay, if that's what you say. The romance part of this movie completely falls apart too. You don't buy the romance. There's very little, if any, chemistry between the two leads. It feels very forced at times. The dialogue is so horribly cliche that I could pretty much predict what these characters were going to say before they said it. And I'm just, you know, average Joe movie fan. I shouldn't be able to predict what people are going to say before they say it. And the ending of this movie, it didn't know how to end. The ending of this movie just kept going and going and going. Like the last 20 minutes or so is just full of boring ass shit that I didn't care about, and I'm like, why is this movie still happening? Guys, in the end, this movie is not offensively bad. It does feature a couple of good-ish performances from the two great actors that are in these roles, and again, the movie is well shot. I mean, it looks pretty good. Outside of that, the survival and the romance elements didn't really work, and this movie honestly bored the ever-living crap out of me, and I'm never going to watch it again. Not bad enough for me to rant about it, but bad enough to be remembered. This movie is kryptonite. Alright guys, those are my thoughts on The Mountain Between Us. I would recommend you miss this one and you go check out Blade Runner. That's what you need to see. Please like and subscribe to the Superfan Show, and as always, if you like what you see, tell me how you feel, and stay tuned to hear more from the Man of Steel. Peace.